The vanished ones. The galaxy remembered the humans only in whispers. They had once been everywhere, building cities on strange worlds, flying great ships through endless space and fighting wars that shook entire star systems. But then, one day, they were gone, vanished, leaving behind only ruins, broken machines, and stories too frightening to forget. For thousands of years, the other species believed humans were extinct. Some thought they destroyed themselves in fire. Others said they went into hiding, sleeping under their homeworld like wolves waiting to rise again. The Galactic Council declared them a dead race, and many were relieved, because even in memory humans were dangerous. On a quiet night above a forgotten part of Earth, a signal broke the silence. It was faint at first, like a whisper in the void, but soon the pulse grew strong, echoing. Across deep space, aliens monitoring the old world sat frozen at their screens. The readings were impossible. The dead planet was alive again. The Council sent scouts, fast and silent, to orbit Earth. Their ships moved like shadows, careful not to be seen. What they found shocked them. Buried deep under the planet's crust, machines had awoken. Huge doors hidden beneath mountains began to shift and crack, open. The ground shook as ancient vaults unlocked, releasing clouds of dust and light into the sky. The aliens panicked. "No," one of them whispered. "It cannot be them." They sent warnings back to the Council. They begged for fleets, for weapons, for anything to stop what was rising. Because everyone knew the truth. If humans had survived, if they were returning, nothing in the galaxy would be safe. In the ruins of an old human city, the Earth split apart. A tower of metal rose from beneath, glowing with strange energy. Symbols of human armies were still marked on its sides. The red and black flags of a forgotten age rippled in the strange energy field. Inside, chambers of glass cracked open. One by one, figures stepped out, armored, tall, eyes glowing faintly with light. The first human warrior breathed in the air and looked to the stars. He touched his chest and whispered, "We are not gone. We are awake again." His voice echoed through the tower. The others stirred, shaking off the sleep of millennia. Their weapons hummed, old but still deadly, as if time itself could not weaken them. Above the planet, one alien scout ship tried to move closer. Its captain wanted to capture proof, but the ship never returned. A beam of light shot from Earth's surface, cutting the vessel into dust. The humans had not even stepped fully into the open, yet already their defenses reached far and struck with perfect aim. Fear spread like fire across the stars. The Council gathered in secret halls, arguing in panic. Some shouted, "We must strike. Now destroy Earth before it rises again." Others shook their heads. "You do not understand. You cannot stop them. If you attack, you will only die." The room fell silent when one elder spoke. "You all forget. They never die for themselves. They always die for Earth." On Earth, the warriors gathered in rows. Their leader stepped forward, his armor brighter, heavier, scarred from battles no alien remembered. He raised his hand, and the ground itself seemed to listen. "We slept while the galaxy changed," he said, his voice like thunder. "We return not for conquest, but for protection. Earth must never fall again." The words carried weight, not a promise, but a warning. And though the galaxy had forgotten, the galaxy now remembered fear. Ships moved, weapons charged, leaders argued, but none could deny the truth. The deadliest warriors in history were back, and they would defend Earth until the stars themselves went dark. The first awakening, deep beneath Earth's broken lands. The machines roared louder. Ancient halls filled with light as the chambers of the warriors opened, one after another. Dust fell like ash from the ceilings, and the silence of millennia shattered under the sound of breathing, footsteps and weapons coming alive. The humans stirred slowly as if dragging themselves out of a dream. Their eyes glowed faint blue. Their hearts beat strong against metal armor. They looked at each other, confused, yet determined. It had been so long since they last stood in the living world. But instinct reminded them who they were. They were defenders, and Earth was still theirs. At the center of the vault, A single chamber stood larger than the rest. The glass hissed, split, and fell away. A tall figure stepped out, heavier armor covering his body. Scars lined his chest and arms, reminders of battles that even time could not erase. This was the commander, the one chosen to wake if the others ever stirred. His first words were soft, but every warrior heard them. Did we succeed? Or did we fail? Is the war still waiting for us? He looked around the chamber, scanning the sleeping vaults now empty. Hundreds of warriors stood ready, their weapons humming faintly with a deadly power. Old railguns, plasma blades, pulse rifles, tools of destruction that looked ancient but alive. The commander reached for his blade, lifting it from the rack where it had rested for thousands of years. The weapon recognized its master, glowing red as if proud to serve again above ground. Alien scouts still orbited the planet. One captain ordered his ship closer to the surface. He wanted to capture images of the awakening humans. But as the ship crossed into the atmosphere, alarms screamed. Invisible beams tore through the air, slicing the vessel apart before it could escape. The humans had not fired by hand. The defenses themselves had woken. Machines buried in the soil, satellites hidden behind clouds, and drones buried under oceans all rose together. The planet itself had become a weapon. Inside the vault, the commander spoke again. "Earth calls us and we answer," he said. A young warrior stepped forward, his voice trembling. "Commander, how long did we sleep?" The elder placed a hand on the boy's shoulder, his eyes heavy with time. "Too long. Long enough for the galaxy to forget us, but not long enough for us to forget Earth." The warriors marched out of the vault, stepping into the broken ruins of their cities. Skyscrapers lay in pieces. Roads were buried under dust. Rivers had dried to cracked scars on the land, yet the planet still breathed, still held life in its soil. One soldier bent down, scooping dirt into his hand. "This world remembers us," he whispered, "and we will not fail it again." High above, alien fleets began to arrive. Dozens of ships circled, blinking with lights as weapons prepared. The council had ordered silence, no transmissions, no warnings to the humans. They wanted to watch, to learn how strong this return truly was. But the fear in their hearts grew with every second, because even before a human word had reached them, they felt the old terror stirring again. The commander raised his hand toward the sky. His armor sent a pulse of energy across the land. At once, giant towers rose from hidden pits, tall enough to pierce the clouds. Each tower unfolded, revealing cannons and launch bays that had slept for ages. The humans looked up, and for the first time since their awakening, they smiled. Earth had remembered its children. The planet had waited, just as they had. The commander whispered to his soldiers, "We are not conquerors, we are guardians. But if the galaxy has forgotten why we were feared, then they will remember." The warriors slammed their fists against their armor, the sound like thunder rolling across the ruins. The echo carried, for miles, reaching even the alien ships in orbit. Those who heard it trembled because the humans had not spoken in millennia, and their first sound was not words, it was war. The council debated in their secret chamber, their voices sharp with fear. "Destroy them now," one shouted, "before they rise to full strength." Another shook her head, her eyes wide. "You cannot destroy what you cannot reach. Their weapons are older than our history, yet stronger than our fleets." Silence fell when the oldest of them spoke. "They have awakened, and when humans awaken, the galaxy always bleeds." Back on Earth, the commander stepped onto a platform overlooking the broken city. He raised his weapon high, its glow cutting through the night sky. "To Earth!" he shouted, his voice carrying to every warrior. "To Earth!" they answered, their voices shaking the ruins. The ground trembled, the air vibrated, the stars themselves seemed to flicker. The first awakening was complete, and the galaxy would never know peace again. Fear across the stars. The signal of Earth's awakening traveled fast. Across the void, into trade lanes, through pirate radios, and straight into the ears of the Galactic Council. At first, many laughed, calling it a trick, a ghost echo from a dead world. But then the images arrived, fragments of alien scout recordings, shaky and broken, yet clear enough. Armored figures walking through the ruins of human cities, weapons glowing, towers rising from the ground. The laughter stopped, replaced by silence, and then silence turned into fear. In the chambers of the Galactic Council, leaders from 100 species argued. Some slammed their claws on the tables, shouting that Earth must be destroyed before the humans spread again. Others whispered warnings, saying such an attack would only wake the sleeping monster fully. One delegate leaned forward, his voice shaking. "You do not understand. I was there when they vanished. I saw their power. I saw them burn entire fleets as if they were nothing." The council chamber was filled with memories, ancient scars, stories of humans who fought wars no one else dared to fight. Some remembered them as allies, stubborn but loyal. Others remembered them as nightmares, deathworlders who fought without fear. Now those same warriors were alive again, and no one knew what they wanted. The alien fleets that orbited Earth sent back more reports. They spoke of strange energy fields rising from the planet. Old satellites that should have been dead suddenly powered up, tracking every ship. Some vessels tried to approach but vanished, into fire before they could get close. It was as if Earth itself had grown eyes, watching the skies with a predator's patience. In a distant system, merchants abandoned trade routes that passed near Sol. They spoke in taverns and markets. "Humans are back," they whispered, "and the void is no longer safe." The word spread faster than ships, carried like a disease of panic. Whole sectors trembled, waiting for the humans to strike. But no strike came, only silence from Earth, heavy and endless. Back on the homeworld, the commander stood among his warriors. He gazed at the stars, knowing every eye in the galaxy was watching. "They fear us already," he said, his voice low but strong. "And they should. But we do not rise for them. We rise for Earth." His soldiers nodded, their armor shining under the pale light of a broken moon. They were awake, but they had not yet moved. The galaxy did not understand that waiting was part of the fear. In the council chamber, panic turned into plans. "We will gather fleets," one leader said. "Surround Earth, crush them before they expand." Another slammed his hand on the table. "And what if you fail? What if their weapons are stronger than yours? Then the humans will not forgive. They never forgive." The chamber erupted again, voices clashing, species hissing and shouting. But beneath the noise, one truth remained. No one wanted to be the first to fight humans. News networks across the galaxy filled with the same images. A single human warrior stepping from a vault, his weapon glowing, his eyes like fire. Commentators tried to calm the people, but fear spread in every word. On some worlds, children asked their parents about humans. The parents only shook their heads, whispering old warnings passed down through generations. "Do not wake them," they said. "Do not draw their gaze." Meanwhile, Earth's skies flickered with new life. Drones rose, satellites aligned, towers unfolded their weapons, but no human ship left the atmosphere. Not yet. The commander knew the galaxy was waiting for a move, and he let them wait. Fear was a weapon, and patience sharpened its edge. A lone alien vessel broke formation, daring to move closer. Its captain wanted to prove that humans were weak, just myths wrapped in armor. But as the ship neared, the stars bent around it, the air cracked with lightning, and the vessel vanished in a single flash. The humans did not even look up. For them, it was nothing more than breathing. The council received the report with dread. Their fleets could surround Earth with 1,000 ships, and still, one human weapon could turn them into ash. The debate grew colder, quieter. No one dared to say what many thought. Perhaps it was better to leave Earth alone, but fear had a strange power. It made the greedy want to strike first, and it made the weak hope that someone else would suffer before them. Back on Earth, the commander placed his hand on the broken soil. "This world remembers us," he whispered again. He looked to his soldiers and spoke louder. "The galaxy will tremble, but we will not." His warriors slammed their weapons into the ground. The sound echoed like thunder across the dead city. In the void above, alien captains shivered, because they all knew the truth. The humans had not attacked yet. But the galaxy was already losing the war. The return of the Deadliest, the sky above. Earth was no longer empty. Alien fleets circled like vultures, waiting, watching, whispering to each other. They thought humans might hesitate, might hide, might wait another 1,000 years. But they were wrong. From the heart of the ruined cities, a deep rumble spread across the land. Mountains split open as doors of steel rose from beneath. Massive, gates unlocked, hissing as ancient air escaped into the night. And from those gates the human warriors marched. They were taller than memory had described, their armor gleaming with light. Every step echoed with the weight of history. Their weapons hummed, some glowing red, others burning blue. These were not soldiers of flesh alone, these were warriors shaped by millennia of science, patience, and wrath. At their head stood the commander, his blade glowing with energy. He raised it toward the sky, and the warriors halted. For a moment, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then he spoke, his voice carrying across the winds. "We return not as conquerors, but as protectors." The words were strong, yet the aliens orbiting Earth did not feel comfort. They felt terror, because humans had always protected what was theirs. And to protect Earth, they had destroyed countless enemies before. What would stop them from doing it again? One alien dreadnought drifted forward, larger than a city, its cannons glowing. The captain of the vessel stared at the planet below. "They are only waking," he said to his crew. "Strike them before they rise too far." But even as he spoke, his hand shook, because every story he had heard about humans returned to his mind. Stories of fleets crushed in hours, of worlds set ablaze, of warriors who never surrendered. The humans raised their weapons, aiming not at the dreadnought but at the sky itself. Lines of energy shot upward, forming a grid of light. The network spread across the atmosphere, locking the planet under a shield. The dreadnought fired, a roar of plasma rushed down, blazing like a sun, but the shield absorbed it, bending the energy and throwing it back into space. The alien crew screamed as their own fire slammed into them, tearing their ship apart. On Earth, the commander did not even look up. He kept his eyes on his soldiers. "They are coming," he said, "but we will show them why they feared us." The warriors slammed their weapons against their armor, the sound booming like war drums. Even the ruins shook as the echo carried for miles. Across the galaxy, leaders watched the transmissions in silence. One whispered, "They are not the same as before, they are stronger." Another shook her head. "No, they are the same. And that is the problem." Because the galaxy had once survived humanity, barely. If the humans had only grown deadlier, no one would survive this time. The commander led his soldiers into the open. The ground quaked as columns of warriors marched in perfect unity. At their sides, machines of war rose from pits, giant walkers, cannons, and ships shaped like predators. Of old Earth, one by one, the weapons of humanity revealed themselves. Not relics, not forgotten toys, but instruments still alive, still waiting for the call. An alien captain watching from orbit trembled as he saw the images. They were sleeping, he whispered to himself. They were waiting for this. He turned to his crew. "Send word to the council. Tell them it is too late, the Deadliest have returned. Back on Earth." The commander climbed the broken steps of a ruined tower. He looked out across his people. Once they had been scattered across stars. Once they had ruled worlds far away. Now they stood together again, bound by a single truth. Earth lived, and they lived for Earth. He raised his blade high, and the sky seemed to answer. Lightning cracked, thunder roared, and the shield above glowed brighter. The galaxy saw the image and trembled. 1,000 systems whispered the same words. The Deadliest have returned. But even as fear spread, courage rose in the council. Some leaders slammed their fists on the table. "They will strike us next," one shouted. "We cannot wait for them to move." Others shook their heads in despair. "You cannot fight them, you can only survive if they let you." On Earth, the warriors stood ready, silent still, waiting for the order. The commander's voice broke the silence. "We do not seek war," he said, "but if they bring war to us, then we will finish it." The words were calm, but they carried the weight of doom, because when humans spoke of finishing wars, it meant only one thing: there would be nothing left of the enemy. The galaxy now faced its oldest fear. Humanity had not vanished. Humanity had only been waiting. And now, their return was no longer a story. It was the beginning of the storm. The clash in the void. The silence before battle was heavy. Earth's skies glowed with shields, towers, and war machines waiting in patience. Above, the alien fleets gathered in the blackness of space, their weapons burning with light. The galaxy held its breath, knowing the storm was about to break. The commander stood at the edge of a ruined platform, staring upward. "Their fear will drive them to strike first," he said, his voice calm. "And when they do, we answer." His soldiers bowed their heads, their hands gripping their weapons tighter. Then the first shot came. A council warship fired a bolt of plasma the size of a mountain. It tore through the void, heading straight for Earth's shield. The glow lit the entire night sky, turning darkness into fire. But when the bolt struck, the shield bent and snapped it back. The plasma exploded in the middle of the alien fleet, scattering ships like dry leaves in a storm. The humans did not move, not yet. The commander raised his hand. "Now," he said, and the Earth answered. From hidden launch bays, ships rose into the void. They were black, sharp, built like hunters. Some looked like arrows, others like beasts of metal with wings that glowed red. Their engines roared with ancient fury as they left the atmosphere. The human fleet had awakened. The battle began in silence. Then the void erupted in fire. Alien fleets unleashed their cannons, plasma beams, and storm missiles. But the humans met them with weapons that shattered space itself. Railguns fired slugs faster than light, tearing ships apart with single strikes. Pulse cannons screamed, melting hulls like wax. Each human vessel fought like a predator, swift and merciless. Near the moon, the clash grew fiercer. Alien dreadnoughts unleashed walls of fire, filling the void with burning storms. But human warships cut through them like blades, their movements precise, their strikes final. The galaxy watched the transmissions in shock. Every alien captain who saw the fight whispered the same thing. This is why they were feared. Then the flagship rose, from the oceans of Earth, a ship so massive it broke the water and sent waves across continents. The Titan, the pride of humanity, the ghost of legends, its hull stretched miles long, its shadow blocking starlight. Alien fleets turned their weapons toward it in panic, but the Titan's cannons fired first. One shot cracked the shields of 3 dreadnoughts, reducing them to debris. The void itself shook with its power. Inside, the Titan, old systems hummed back to life. Holograms lit the bridge, showing every alien ship in orbit. The commander's voice echoed through the comms. "This is not conquest, this is defense," he said. "But if you strike Earth, you will not leave alive." The council fleets wavered, some pulling back, others pushing forward in desperation. Panic spread, orders clashed. Captains shouted, the humans pressed harder, ships weaving between enemy, fire like shadows. One by one, alien vessels exploded in silent bursts of flame. The battle was not a contest, it was a reminder. On distant worlds, crowds gathered around holoscreens. Children clutched their parents as the images showed alien fleets burning. Merchants whispered to each other in fear. If they defend Earth like this, what will they do if they come for us? Even the leaders of neutral systems trembled, because they knew once humans entered the void, they never stopped. The fight near the moon raged on. An alien dreadnought charged its superweapon, desperate to change the tide. The beam fired, cutting through the void, aiming for the Titan, but before it could strike, a swarm of human drones intercepted. Each drone exploded in sequence, tearing the beam apart before it reached the ship. The sacrifice of machines saved the flagship, and the dreadnought was destroyed. Seconds later, by the Titan's wrath, the commander stood silent as the reports came in. Alien fleets collapsing, humans advancing, the void filling with wreckage. Still, his face was stern, his eyes hard. "This is not the end," he whispered. "They will not stop, not yet." Because even as the humans won near Earth, new signals appeared on the horizon. More fleets were coming, larger, stronger, desperate. The galaxy had decided, if humans could not be stopped now, they never would be. The commander lifted his blade, its glow reflecting off the ruined Earth below. "To the void," he shouted. "To the void." His warriors roared, and with that, the Deadliest prepared for the war that would decide the fate of the galaxy. Humanity's oath, the battle near Earth's moon had ended, but silence did not mean safety. Wreckage floated across the void, glowing faintly from burning hulls. Alien fleets had been broken, but the galaxy was far from finished. Signals crackled through the dark, calling more armies, more weapons, more fire. Inside the Titan, the commander stood tall on the bridge. Screens around him showed maps of space, dotted with enemy fleets drawing closer. Yet his eyes did not waver. He turned to his warriors and spoke. "They come because they fear us, but fear alone cannot destroy us. Not when we stand together." The soldiers nodded, their armor scarred from the battle, but their resolve unshaken. One younger warrior asked softly, "Commander, why did we sleep so long? Why return now?" The commander's voice was steady, but heavy with weight. "We slept because the galaxy could not bear us. We return because Earth cannot survive without us." His words spread across the Titan, into every ship, into every warrior's heart. It was not conquest they carried, it was duty. The oath that had once defined their people now burned again. Earth must never fall. Meanwhile, far away, the Galactic Council gathered once more. Their faces were grim, their voices sharp with fear. "They will rebuild, they will rise again, and then the galaxy will belong to them," one shouted. "They are already too strong, stronger than before," another whispered. The council could not agree. Some begged for peace, hoping humans might show mercy. Others demanded annihilation, even if it cost millions of their own lives. A message arrived from a hidden system. It carried designs for a weapon unlike any seen before. An ancient superweapon, forbidden and buried in secrecy. The council hesitated, but desperation won. "If we cannot match them, then we will end them," the leader declared. And so the galaxy prepared a weapon that could shatter worlds. Back on Earth, the humans rebuilt. Ruins became fortresses. Rivers flowed again under new machines. The planet itself seemed to breathe stronger as its defenders returned. Drones patrolled the skies. Towers glowed brighter. And deep underground, more warriors awoke. The planet was no longer just a home, it was a fortress of memory and vengeance. The commander stood on the surface, looking at the stars. He knew more fleets were coming. He knew more battles would burn across the void. But his voice carried calm strength as he spoke to his people. "Let the galaxy bring all its fire. Let them gather every weapon. We are humans, and we do not break. We do not bow. We do not forget." His soldiers slammed their fists against their armor, the sound booming like thunder. The oath was alive again. They would not leave. They would not run. They would fight until Earth was safe. And if the galaxy chose war, then the galaxy would learn again why humans were called the Deadliest. In secret, the council prepared their weapon, a giant construct hidden inside a dying star, forged to unleash destruction across light years. They called it the Shatterer. Its power was enough to tear Earth apart in one strike. And it was already. Moving toward Sol, the commander received whispers of it, fragments of intercepted signals. He stood in silence as the reports came, his eyes hardened, his voice low. "They believe they can destroy Earth with one weapon, but they have forgotten. We do not fight with weapons alone. We fight with will, and will cannot be broken." The Titan rose again, leading the fleet into the void, ships aligned, warriors prepared, every eye burning with fury. They did not march for conquest. They marched for survival. They marched because Earth was behind them, and no galaxy, no council, no weapon would take it from them. In the council chamber, one elder whispered what no one wanted to hear. They do not fight for power, they fight for home, and nothing in the stars is more dangerous than a human defending home. As the human fleet advanced, the oath echoed across the void. Not just words, but a truth carried in their blood. We are awake, we are unbroken, we are Earth's shield, and the galaxy trembled. Because oaths are stronger than fear, and humanity's oath would burn brighter than any weapon the Council could build. Defenders of Earth, the void around Sol grew darker. Alien fleets closed in, thousands of ships stretching across the black horizon. Behind them, the Council's secret weapon moved closer, hidden within the shell of a star, the Shatterer, built to end Earth in a single strike. Inside the Titan, the commander stood before his warriors. The air was tense, every soldier silent, waiting for his words. He looked at them, his eyes burning with the weight of centuries. Today the galaxy comes to erase us, but today the galaxy will remember why it fears us. The oath echoed through the ship. Warriors slammed their fists against their armor, their voices rolling like thunder. To Earth, they shouted. The sound shook the halls, carrying into every vessel of the fleet. The oath was not just words, it was fire in their blood. The enemy moved first. The Council fleets unleashed storms of plasma, beams of fire, and waves of missiles. The void lit up as if the stars themselves had gone to war. But the humans did not waver. The Titan fired, its cannons roaring like gods. Railguns screamed across the dark, tearing dreadnoughts apart. Pulse weapons cracked through enemy shields. One by one, alien ships exploded into fire, yet the battle was not easy. For every alien ship destroyed, more pressed forward. For every beam intercepted, another broke through. The human fleet burned, but it did not break. The commander's voice carried through the chaos. "Hold the line! Earth is behind us!" Then the Shatterer revealed itself, a giant machine, larger than any fleet, drifting from the shell of the dying star. Its core glowed with power enough to end worlds. The Council's last hope, their final gamble. The galaxy watched in silence, every world holding its breath. If the weapon fired, Earth would be gone. The commander saw it on the screens. His face was calm, his voice sharp as steel. "They believe a weapon can end us, but no weapon is stronger than will." He raised his blade, glowing like a shard of fire. "To Earth," he roared, and the fleet answered, "To Earth." The Titan led the charge. Its cannons fired, its shields blazed. Human ships dove into enemy fire. Drones swarmed like angry storms. The void shook under the fury of Earth's defenders. Alien fleets scattered, their lines broken, their courage shattering. But the Shatterer continued to charge. Its core burned brighter, its power rising to the edge of release. A younger warrior stood by the commander. "Commander, if it fires, all is lost," he said, fear trembling in his voice. The commander placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then we make sure it never fires." The Titan surged forward faster than its size should allow. Alien ships tried to block it, but were torn apart in its path. The Shatterer glowed like a newborn sun, ready to unleash destruction. But the humans struck first. Railguns and pulse cannons fired in unison. Drones slammed into its surface, explosions rippling across its hull. The Shatterer cracked, its energy unstable. The void burned with the light of its collapse. The commander's voice filled the comms. "Hold fast, the storm is ours." And then the Shatterer imploded, its core shattered, its energy collapsing inward. The blast swallowed fleets, tore ships apart, burned stars in its wake. But the Titan and the human fleet endured, their shields held, their will stronger than fire. Silence followed. The galaxy stared at the aftermath. The Council's greatest weapon was gone, their fleet scattered, their power broken, and humanity still stood, alive, unbroken, unyielding. On the Titan's bridge, the commander lowered his blade. He looked at his warriors, their armor scarred, their faces grim but proud. He spoke, his voice soft but carrying across every ship. "We have returned not to conquer but to defend. Earth is ours, and it will never fall." The words spread like fire across the galaxy. On distant worlds, children whispered them. On council planets, leaders sat in silence, knowing the truth. The Deadliest had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. Back on Earth, the towers glowed brighter. The ruins felt alive again. The warriors stood on their broken soil, raising their weapons to the sky. They were not ghosts anymore. They were not myths. They were defenders. And as long as they lived, Earth would stand. The commander looked to the horizon, his eyes sharp, his voice steady. We are awake now, and we do not sleep again.